This one did look good. The brie berry bowl. Okay. That's a good breakfast right there. I was like, ooh. Bright Light Eating Thoughts of the Day today. A status update on my binge eating disorder, where I am mentally with Reboot Resume, one of the courses, and the book from Bright Light Eating. Thoughts of initial first impressions on this new Natalie Aul cookbook, which is not technically a Bright Light Eating sanctioned approved cookbook, but it totally follows the Bright Light Eating weight loss plan, and also the membership. So let's get started with today's video. Thank you for joining me. If you're new, my name is Angela. I upload every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to help you with your weight loss journey, especially if you do bright line eating and or if you have binge eating disorder. On my channel here, I try to offer tips and tricks that I hope are helpful to you. And I'm also very transparent and honest about the struggles that I've faced and some of the lessons that I've learned so that you don't have to do a lot of the legwork that I have done to make your life and your journey easier and better. So let's start talking about topic number one, where I am with my binge eating disorder today. I talked about this in my last video, but I have really fallen prey to the binges every day. There are several explanations as to why. The first and foremost is that I took a trip a couple of weeks ago to North Carolina. It was great. I did a video on the balcony of the wonderful cabin that we stayed at on Beach Mountain, and I basically was like, I'm down 40 pounds, I'm doing well. Then, see, what had happened was after that, I had post-event collapse syndrome, and if you've never heard of it, it is like a legit thing that I deal with on the regular. So I won't talk about too much that right now, just because I feel like I want to move forward with like what's the next step for me. Also, part of the problem for me is I have been tremendously overwhelmed at work. Like my full-time job is hardcore. It is intense. And I've been drowning. Like fully transparently, the past 2 months, I've been drowning so much with work. I literally worked 2 to 3 hours a day while I was on vacation in the mountains of North Carolina. That's terrible. And I just was overwhelmed. And I'm just now getting to a place where I'm starting to kind of catch my breath. And I'm able to work from home today, which is a big deal. That gives me 2 hours back in my day, because an hour or more of commuting to work, going in the office, and then not only that, but I genuinely feel like when I'm in the office, I waste like up to an hour just socializing and talking to the people around me. And it's wonderful because I'm a social butterfly. I love the social interaction and I love my coworkers, but it's genuinely not efficient. So working from home today, I'm literally in my pajamas and I am eating my breakfast. I have the whole kitchen behind me that I can access with all of the tools and all the food that I need. I'm not triggered by seeing other people's food, because in the workplace, I get seriously triggered because people leave their sweets out. There's just, there's a cafeteria there. Like there's just a lot of food triggers. And plus I get so busy, sometimes I won't eat. Like I'll blow through lunch because I'm working. And then by the time I feel that ravenous hunger, like all bets are off and I start binge eating. I definitely feel like working from home today for the first time in weeks and weeks is going to be super helpful, because when I was a crystal vaser, the first time I did bright light eating, I was working from home forever because it was during the pandemic. I think it was like 2020. I don't even remember, but I had like the tools. I didn't have any triggers, like any external things that were, giving me temptation. So I definitely feel like I was set up for success the very first time I was a crystal vaser for 3 months straight when I first did bright light eating. So now let me learn some lessons from that and let me just take this day at home and eat. Listen, I am finishing up my breakfast, which is a pumpkin oat bake. And I feel good. I'm like, okay, I have my plan for lunch. All good. So that's the first thing I wanted to update you on, was where I was with my binge eating disorder. Second thing we'll talk about is first impressions of this weight loss cookbook by Natalie Aul. I'm going to be honest. I love Natalie Aul. I am a Christian. I love her journey. By the way, I mentioned it as a disclaimer. I'm going to say it again. Natalie Aul and Lori Lundgren and just anybody else who kind of does their own thing, they are not affiliated with Bright Line Eating. I myself am not affiliated with Bright Line Eating. When I talk about Bright Line Eating and I talk about going rogue and my own journey and struggles and the things that I think and, the criticisms I have about the program, the things I love about the program, those things are me. They are not Bright Line Eating. I don't want to get sued by the company. I don't want a lawyer coming at me with a cease and desist letter, which they will do. Bright Line Eating has done that to other people. And luckily I have not had that letter from Bright Line Eating, but I just want to be careful. So she's not affiliated with Bright Line Eating, but her recipes do fit the weight loss plan. I want to give you my first impressions because this is my first Natalie Aul cookbook that's not the batch cooking cookbook. I have done a lot of recipes from Natalie's batch cooking cookbook, which I do highly recommend. It's wonderful. This one are solo recipes for one person. Like it's just one serving per recipe. My first impressions, first of all, I want to say this zucchini basil grilled cheese is what I plan to make for lunch today. So there's that. So I actually made that recipe. Click the link in the description to watch me make it. I want to give a disclaimer that this is volume 14. Natalie is prolific and has a bunch of other cookbooks. I don't have them. but a lot of people love them and swear by them. But this one did not impress me that much. I will pay that money. I will have a link in the description box below to buy this cookbook on Amazon, but they're not cheap. And I don't mind because it's a very specific, very specialized set of recipes. And for her to make them was a lot of work on her part. For her to publish a cookbook, we're lucky to have this as a resource, but it's not cheap. And so I was a little bit taken aback. Oh, this one looks good. Blueberry coconut donuts. Yes, that actually does look good. But I was taken aback because a lot of the recipes at the beginning, bars, like popsicles. And I was like, I'm not into it. Like, I'm not into all these popsicles. Like, and it was just like page after page of popsicles. And I was like, really? Like, I don't want a popsicle. So listen, I don't want to talk badly about this because there are some recipes in here, pineapple upside down parfait. And then I always love that Natalie throws in testimonials, like Christian testimonials, because I myself am a Christian. I do not try to impose my religious beliefs on anybody else. So I'm not saying you need to be a Christian. It's just what I personally believe for me. Look, air fryer caprese. So there are some good recipes in here. There are some good things. I tend to stay away from the lunch and dinner recipes that Natalie and Lori have made, and even regular Brightline Eating, because I have done traditionally the 10-10 split, which is in the Brightline Eating regular weight loss plan, you do 6 ounces of vegetables at lunch and 14 ounces at dinner. But then I read when I was brand new to Brightline Eating, some people said, why not do the 10-10 split so you get more at lunch? And for someone like me that gets really hungry in the afternoon, I was like, oh, the more food I can eat at lunch, the better. So I did 10 ounces of vegetables at lunch, 10 ounces at dinner. Lately, I've been thinking of pulling back my ounces of vegetables to be like 8 at lunch, maybe even 6, and then 8 at dinner, because I have increased my protein and fat. Like every day I do an extra protein and an extra fat because of my binge eating disorder and because I'm very active and because I have a high metabolism. The recipes are the 6 and 14 split, where it's like the traditional weight loss plan. Like all of the cookbooks, you know, the Brightline Eating cookbook, these cookbooks, they're all 6 ounces at lunch, 14 ounces at dinner. So it kind of throws me off when I look at that recipe and I'm like, oh, I don't follow those ounces. And there are ways to work around it where you can modify the recipes, but I haven't taken the time to do that. But I need to expand my horizons and do that. Also, I didn't include this as one of my beginner topics, but I also want to share my thoughts about the Brightline Eating Cookbook. I have talked some smack about it in the last video I did where I was like, oh man, the recipes don't look that good. But I'm going to give it a shout out because I was flipping through it last night and re-looking at the recipes, like really re-looking at them. And I said, you know what? It's good. It is good. And more than that, it is a helpful resource. Like the recipes are good, the tips and tricks that it gives you and the testimonials and just everything about it. Like I was like, this is actually a really, really, really good book. So I take back what I said. As a human being, I reserve the right to change my mind. So I apologize for putting it down in the last video where I was like, the recipes are not that good. I think what happened was, in that case, I had eaten the recipes when my taste buds had not yet transformed. And then when you go back and you eat that same food, like even a month or two later, suddenly it's way better tasting. I gotta give it a fair shake. So I don't think I was being really fair when I was judging the Brightline Eating Cookbook. You just gotta give it time, and it is a good resource. So that also is linked in the description box below. I also want to talk about where I am with Reboot Resume. I'm actually at the very beginning on day 1 of that course online. BrightlineEating.com or whatever the website is, I think that's it. BrightlineEating.com does offer a membership. I do plan to continue my monthly membership. I did do the month free trial at the very beginning, and I've been on that for several weeks, and I've only logged in a couple of times to just kind of look around. I have been impressed with the layout of it. I think it is very user-friendly, so that's excellent. I have always wanted to do the Reboot Resume course ever since reading the book Resume, which is why I'm doing Brightline Eating again, and having that course available is so good. And I already am happy that I'm doing the Reboot Resume course because the very first video, Dr. Susan said, come in all the way and sit down. Like just basically, I don't remember exactly how she put it, was basically she was saying like just come in, surrender to the program. Like she didn't use these exact words, but basically she was like, come in and sit all the way down. And I was like, Angela, this is what you need to do. You need to really surrender the program, do it the best you can. And just being able to follow the plan as best you can, I think will lead everybody to success. Everybody has different journeys. It's not all the same. And you know, I have struggled, but I've also had some success. So lessons learned. So I'm already excited about that course, and I'm rereading the book Resume. And last night I read the lines that said the most important thing when you're starting out bright line eating is writing down your food the night before, committing it, and then eating the next day, eating only in exactly that. And I've always struggled with the writing down the food, committing it, and then eating only in exactly that. I don't think I've ever, not once, been able to eat exactly what I planned the day before. I just have been massively, epically failured at that. I just haven't been able to do it. But I'll tell you this, like, because of that, I stopped writing down my food. And I was just like, I'm going to be one of those bright line eating people that choose in the moment from the bright line eating weight loss plan. And that has worked to a certain extent. I think there's something psychological about writing down your food and at least committing it the night before. And even if for me, I fail to follow through that exact plan, it just sets an intention. So I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my food plan the night before, and I'm going to do my best to follow it the next day. But if I do differently, it's okay. I'm not going to be mad at myself or beat myself up since I've never been able to follow through with what I committed the day before. But at least I think it will set me on the right path. It'll set me on the right mental state of being like, well, you did the legwork the night before and you have that food ready to go. Because I think that when you know what's there in your fridge, it's like you're much better set up for success. So this was kind of a long video, but I wanted to let y'all know where I was. I definitely feel like the binge eating as of today is better. Like I feel in a better mental state, working from home, having my bright food ready. Like I did a bunch of meal prep over the past couple of weekends. I have roasted vegetables ready. I have salad stuff ready. I have meal prepped breakfasts ready. Like I just feel really good. And I have the space to create a delicious lunch, this zucchini grilled cheese recipe, that I'm actually looking forward to, because that's very important to me. I have to look forward to my food, and I look forward to that. So anyway, sending you all love. If you haven't watched my video from last week, be sure to check it out. It's the one right before this, and I hope that it's helpful for you. Just so you know where I am, you're caught up with like my mental state. And I'm sending you love, and I hope that all my videos are helpful for you. Bye.